you all for coming. Happy Mother's Day to all of you who are mothers or celebrating mothers this weekend. Absolutely. All right, so here's the things that we're going to do today. We have a very significant Way to Go award or awards to present. So we'll do that in a moment. Just cover some things quickly. The upcoming UCount survey, UTMB alert, since hurricane season kicks off in just a few weeks. I know that sends a shudder down our spines after our experience with Harvey last year. Give a quick update on Best Care, where we are with facilities. Talk a little bit about our current financial results. And then I want to spend a few minutes just talking about, okay, where are we? We've talked about corrective action steps. What is our approach now? Some people have asked me, all right, we know something's going to happen. How come we don't just rip the Band-Aid off and go forward? Well, we're going to talk about that. That's not a good solution to try to rip off a Band-Aid. So that'll be the bulk of today's presentation. But let's start with our Way to Go awards. Tilly Clark, who is chair of the Employee Advisory Committee, is going to come up and help me with this. Oh, well, one thing first. Sorry, I forgot about this very important announcement. Did anybody not see that Dr. Jacobs is leaving? We are very proud of him. You know, he's been here almost 6 years. And one of the first conversations that he and I had after his arrival is, where do you want to be in 5 years from now? And my encouragement at that time is, you should set your sights on aiming on having a presidency or a chancellery position somewhere around the country. It's clear you have the talent and you have tons of experience. You'll get more here. And that's the right sort of aim for someone with your background and qualifications. He actually followed my advice. So pleased. And you know, this just with the broader issue of people coming and going, you know, we sometimes have these discussions. You know what we really do? And you've heard me say this before, our focus is on the future. You know, if you look at our vision statement, it's about defining the future. An important part of that is preparing leaders. And we can't expect that every leader that we help prepare is going to stay with us, although we'd love to think that could be the case. So we'll continue to do this. We'll continue to bring in people at all levels, from the very beginning levels in the institution to those at the senior-most leadership levels among the faculty and staff, and help them gain experience. And then when they choose to leave, to go to another spot for a great reason, not because we ran them off, we certainly don't want to do that, but they choose to leave for a good reason, that's celebration for us, because it means we've been successful in preparing leaders who are going to help all of us do a better job in the future of improving health. So again, congratulations to Dr. Jacobs, and thank you in advance to Dr. Bardwaj and Dr. Mouton. Dr. Bardwaj currently serves in a vice provost position, so he has agreed to maintain the hats, all those hats, including chair of neurology that he's currently wearing, but also serve for the interim period in the provost role. Dr. Mouton is going to serve as the dean, the interim dean for the medical school. Now, some people have asked me, why are you separating these positions? Well, some of you know we've been thinking about this for a long time. The provost and dean role right now, as it's currently configured, is really more than any one human being can manage. Plus, these two gentlemen are also continuing to wear all those other hats that they currently wear. So at least for this interim period, it makes sense to separate these. Now, Lauren Skinner and I and others in the provost office are going to have some work to do now to make sure it's clear about who's overseeing what, but we think that will line up nicely, and then we can move forward and begin our search process for a new provost and decide how we best manage the oversight of the academic structure as we go forward. So again, thank you to Dr. Bardwaj and Dr. Mouton, and I know all of us will support them as they fill in these critical interim roles as we move forward. All right, so here is the celebration. we had a bunch of our people nominated for the Regents Outstanding Employee Award. I spoke about this at our last town hall meeting. At that time, we were concluding the nomination process. I and the UT system asked that we put forward nominations for people who met the criteria, and no surprise, we have lots. And so I was so pleased. Thank you all for responding to the request. And what I'd like to do today is have those among this list of the people nominated who are here come forward and be recognized with a Way to Go award. So they've already received their blue shirts, but I want them to come forward and get a pen and a certificate, and Ms. Clark is going to help me present those. So we'll start with Curtis Adkerson. Curtis, are you here? Okay, Curtis, you chickened out on me. Chuck Anderson. There's Chuck. All right. Thank you, sir. Yeah, congratulations. Thanks for the great work. Ashlyn Baker. I think I saw Ashlyn. Yeah. I'm glad I didn't have to choose among you guys. It would have been impossible for me knowing each of you and how you work. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Doug Brenning. I know he can make it because I see him in the field house. He works out over there. Congratulations, Doug. Thank you very much. Yeah. Lucy Cardenas Gonzalez. How come you sat so far to the back? Congratulations. Thank you very much. Michelle Lee Faringer Bear. Okay, I'm taking the pen back.
Sure, sorry.
Robert Fox. Janie Garcia. I saw Janie. There she is. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Maria Garcia. Thank you. Congratulations. Dennis Gooding. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Jerry Leanne Hartnett. Jerry Jackson. Thank you, sir. Congratulations. Kenia Edith Latin. Kelly Ledford. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Rena Lidstone. Dancing down those stairs. Congratulations. Peggy Mann. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Helen Martinez. Thank you very much.
sir.
Congratulations.
Thank
Michelle Moreno. Thank you for bringing your cheering section. Yeah. Thanks, Michelle. Congratulations. Thank you. Russell Roadcap. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks for the great work. Tracy Santiago. Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Congratulations. Jacob Sharton. Tiffany Renee Swain. Be easier if we had an escalator, huh? Congratulations. Thank you very much. Eric Tucker. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Leah Vaughn. Congratulations. Thank you. Tricia Wooten. You know how infrequently someone from compliance gets cheers? Congratulations. Alinka Zamora. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Okay. All right. Would y'all join me in collectively again giving the best among the best here a hand? Everybody squeeze in. Right. Yeah. All right. Thank you all very much. Congratulations again. Thanks for the great work. Now, Marcia Brookover, Kathy Copeland, Michael Leger, Tandra Madeline, and Sonia Stutz could not make it today, but if you see them, tell them congratulations too. Now, we actually had 3 winners named by the Regents. That's the most from any University of Texas organization. Very proud of that. And everyone who was nominated easily deserved the award. These 3 had special accomplishments which stood out for the Regents. Often what these represented were examples of leadership that just went beyond the norm, that really set the pace and served as a wonderful example or examples for all the rest of us. So I'd certainly like the winners who are here today to come forward and be recognized. First is Chad Conley. Thank you, Chad. Congratulations. Yes, sir. Mike Mastrangelo, stay up here, please. Congratulations, Mike. Well deserved. And Scott Woodby. All right, well, we're going to take a picture with these two. We'll make sure Scott gets a certificate. Thank you, sir. Congratulations again, gentlemen. Yeah. Congratulations to all of you who were nominated and certainly those who received the award. UTMB is very proud. I'm very proud of our people, and certainly it means a lot when the contributions of our people are recognized at the level of the region. So, well deserved. Okay, there was a little booth out in the front explaining a little bit about the UCount survey. It's coming up. The period for the survey is May 21st to June the 8th. And of course, most of us have participated in these before. These are what are traditionally called employee satisfaction and engagement surveys. But what they really do is tell us as an institution where we need to be investing more time in addressing the needs and concerns of our employees. Now, some people have asked me, are you out of your mind doing this right now when we're challenged as an institution financially? There's so much going on in healthcare because we're going to get a bad grade. It's not about achieving a grade. This is, to me, the best time to do a survey like this. We're stressed. We see needs. We understand there's a need to change. We need to know how to help ourselves, our people, get through this time of stress. And so I certainly hope all of you plan to participate. Please encourage your colleagues to participate. This is completely anonymous. Now, every year, every time we do this, there's concern about this. This goes to Press Ganey. They also do our patient satisfaction surveys. We send a list of employees and email addresses, and then they basically have a completely separate system. You do have to log in so Press Ganey knows, yes, this is actually David Callender with employee number 229127. But that never gets back to us. We really don't care who submits a response. What we're really interested in is the response, and we've hired Press Ganey to help us keep this completely anonymous, to segregate the feedback and provide it back to us so that we can take action. This is an area of expertise for them. So again, please participate. Please encourage colleagues to participate. If there's anything we can do to address concerns about anonymity, please let me know or other leaders know, and we'll do our best to sit down and say, look, this is the way this works. We can direct them to the Press Ganey website. And so people, by and large, hopefully will be satisfied that the responses they provide will not be traced back to them. Now, what we typically get is information about the needs of work groups, individual work groups in the institution. If a work group is not larger than 5, we don't characterize it as a work group in the study, because then there is a risk that perhaps we could identify the source of feedback. So it has to be a group larger than 5. If it's smaller than 5, it gets rolled up to the next level and then homogenized with other work groups that are similar to it that belong to a certain part of the enterprise. We get it for faculty, we get it for classified staff, for administrative personnel, we get it by health system, academic enterprise, institutional support. So there are a number of ways that we look at this. And then again, we segregate the data, we organize it and provide it back to all of our leaders with the understanding that some of the leaders need some help. Now, again, this has been a subject of concern in the past. Wait a minute, I'm a manager and you're telling me I need some help with this? That's a bad grade for me. No, it's not. It just means that maybe you need some additional training. Maybe your employees have special concerns that need an institutional response as well as a local response. So again, the feedback is what's critical. We don't use it to evaluate people at any level. We use it to evaluate our plans for what we need to do or what we are doing to support our employees. So please participate, please encourage participation. There are some prizes there. Dinner with Dr. Callender, I'm not exactly sure that will be highly valued by everybody, but I will buy dinner for somebody if they don't want to have dinner with me. How about that? Okay, I mentioned hurricane season is coming up, starts June 1st and runs through December 1st or November 30th. And so we've got the UTMB alert system out there. You know, we continue to work with this to try to improve it. But what's absolutely critical is that we all sign up to get an alert. And of course, this is not just for weather emergencies. We used it during the fire. If there were another emergency on campus, we'd use the alert system. But you actually have to opt in to get the notices. So I think most of us in this room probably have, but please spread the word. We'll put out some more announcements as we go forward. You can do this through the directory. There actually is a button there that says sign up for alerts. You can use it to update your information. So it's really easy to do. Just go to the UTMB directory, find your information, click on the button, and it will help you get enrolled. All right, Best Care, Period 2 update. We are standing now about number 5. You know, we were up to number 2, but this competition's pretty darn intense. In fact, only fractions of points separate the top 15 to 20 among the institutions in the Vizient survey. So it's okay to be number 5. We're still 5-star at number 5. We just got some early returns that suggest we're about the same, 5 or 6 for the third quarter. Now, the scary thing is we only have 6 weeks left because the Vizient year goes through June 30th. So we're hanging in there, we're holding our own, but we need to make sure that over this course of this next 6 weeks, we don't let any of our attention slip. We certainly want to do our best to remain in that 5-star upper tier group. All right, facilities update. This is the Health Education Center as it stands now. It's been topped out. Here it is what it will look like when it's completed. It's just going to be an awesome building. We're so excited about this. Should open a little over a year from now. We'll offer new technologies, new opportunities for our students and faculty. And so we're very excited that this is moving along nicely. I don't know if those of you who are associated with the health system have noticed, but the Waverly Smith renovation is complete. Patients who now park in the Plaza Garage can enter through Waverly Smith Pavilion and then go either into the John Seeley Tower part of the property or into the Jenny Seeley Tower. So it's an additional point of accessibility, and it's beautiful. There's some lounge space there. There's some space for employees as well as visitors. And so if you haven't walked through there and you have a chance, please do so. I think you'll be pleased. The John Seeley modernization is proceeding along. On at least one side of the tower, they've started adding in the glass. So that's been exciting to see as part of that room expansion, coming along nicely on schedule, and so it should be complete in late 2020. Most of you who are in the League City area or travel through it every day have seen that our parking garage and connector is coming along nicely, so good progress. That'll open this summer to support MD Anderson and our needs on that site. Our hospital expansion is coming along, due to open in late 2020 or early 2021. You can see a lot of the foundational and pier work is done. They're adding the pier caps, and we'll begin the superstructure construction fairly shortly. This is the MD Anderson facility on that campus. The exterior is pretty much complete. They're working on the interior, and we project that will be done sometime this summer. And then here's some of the renovation in the Angleton Danbury Hospital. Just spruced that up a little bit, brought some additional light in there. And so very pleased with how that's come along also. So good progress on the facilities front with the facilities plan. All right, so here's the financial information where we are currently. And again, what's important here, in terms of assessing where we stand is this adjusted margin number. That's all in, all sources of revenue, all expenses, bottom line. Here's where we stood this time last year in the fiscal year. This is where we are currently. So we're at about 5.9 to the negative, a loss of $5.9 million for the fiscal year. That's pretty close to where we were last year at this time. The challenge is it's significantly away from the budget. At this time, we had projected to be 16.4 million to the positive. So the variance, if you will, the gap here is 22.3 million. That's significant. Now, remember, a few months ago, I showed you these numbers, and this number in particular was more negative. And so the work that we've been doing, you all have been doing, is making a difference. We're catching up. We're narrowing the gap in a year which we had a major natural disaster. So we're doing well, but I'm going to talk in a few minutes. Okay, well, what does this really mean? And how do we put this all together and move forward? And one of the things that I did want to comment upon, because I've heard this from a number of different groups across the institution. Well, this is the darn administrator's fault. We just have too darn many administrators. I see the announcements all the time. We're getting rid of classified staff and continuing to hire administrators, and the cost is just too high. Well, that's not really true, but I can understand where that comes from. Every time we put somebody in a new position, we make an announcement. It's important to introduce them to the institution and describe what they're going to do. But in most cases, what we've done is to take existing people and ask them to take on additional administrative roles in the face of a need. We've actually not added people coming from outside the institution, particularly by creating new positions. In fact, if you look, I'm sorry, these numbers are small. These are percentages here, so this is 18.8%. You see this comes down. These are the fiscal years, 15, 16, 17, 18. This is where we project to be. This is currently, or the budget for this year. These are our institutional support operating expenses as a percentage of total UTMB expenses. Now here we were at 18.8% in fiscal year 15. At the end of this year, we're projecting to be right at about 16%. So what does that mean? Well, you can see the trend. We're reducing administrative costs. We put a significant effort to that over the course of the past several years. We need to do that to become more efficient. We need to lower our administrative costs, and that will continue to be a focus. Now, what does this mean? Well, I think the best comparator, at least that I could find, there was a Commonwealth Fund study that was published back in 2014. And it looked at administrative costs for all different sorts of healthcare organizations, including academic medical centers. So it's about 4 years old now, so it's a little dated. But at that time, the average administrative cost for an academic medical center in this country was 23%. Where were we? 18.8. So we were already below that, below the mean. Now they went on to say that the average administrative cost for a teaching hospital in Great Britain, a very different health system than ours, essentially a single payer system. So simpler in terms of management, approach to management. Administrative cost for major teaching hospitals in the UK at that time was 16%. Where are we today? 16%. Best in the world was Canada, 12%. No surprise, they really have a single payer system and they ration care. So, I think we're doing pretty well on this front. Doesn't mean that we can lose our focus, not continue our effort. This is not about having administrative costs that are too high. This is not about having too many administrators. So let me talk about what this is about, at least from my perspective. It's different. So what happened? I'm going to sit down. What happened with Harvey? I'm going to put it down here, Raymond. We saw an immediate impact, right? The $10 million loss that was associated with that because people just couldn't get to us. And then they were concerned about their homes, their cars, their families, their possessions. And so they put off spending for health care. Health care became a discretionary expense, all right? And then subsequently, we've seen that approach by many consumers has remained the same. JP Morgan Chase, I mentioned this in the last town hall meeting, did a study that looked at healthcare expenditures not only across Texas and the Houston region, but across Florida, where there also was significant hurricane impact in the last year. The pattern held there too. People were spending less out of pocket on health care, and revenues for health care providers of all sorts was down. And it remains down for a prolonged period of time after the storm. So, how do we interpret this? In times of stress now, in times of financial challenge, people are inclined to spend less for their health. What's happening with the reimbursement system for health care? People are spending more out of pocket, right? A great deal of the commercial health insurance that is provided in this country comes from employers. What are employers doing in response to the high cost of health care insurance? They're adding the out-of-pocket expense. They're basically reducing their support for premiums and forcing employees to pay more, have more skin in the game, if you will. So as we go forward, the sort of thing that occurred here and in Florida may have been an unmasking, if you will, of what we're going to see more of in the future. Higher out-of-pocket cost, people avoiding those to the extent they can because of other financial challenges that they have, and a change in the way that they access the healthcare system. Now, that's true on the commercial side. On the governmental side, Medicaid and Medicare, we were already seeing a pretty marked reduction in reimbursement per RVU. I sat with Dr. Joan Richardson the other day after one of our meetings, and she was showing me an analysis for the Department of Pediatrics. It looked at the actual payment rates per RVU of service. The pediatricians are working harder and harder, just like most of our physicians and providers, so their RVU curves are going like this. The reimbursement curves, particularly the amount per RVU, going like this. That trend will continue in the future as governments struggle with the growing population, the growing disparity in access, the challenge across the budget, not only to support health and human services, but educational needs, defense needs, public safety needs, road and transportation needs. That's certainly true in Texas as well as at the federal level. Remember, the Medicaid program is 60% federal, 40% state. Put it all together, commercial and private. What does it mean for us? I think it means we can't continue to do what we're doing, at least the way that we're trying to execute our mission work and the support for it. That's what's different about this. After Ike, and by the way, somebody looked up for me the other day, how many employees who were here after Ike are still here? 5,507. Thought that was interesting in a number of ways. So some of you have that post-Ike experience. I certainly do. I think I have PTSD still associated with that. But it's different because at that time we weren't really changing what we were doing. Our existence was threatened, tremendously threatened. But we responded, we demonstrated to the state that we were vital, that the state's return on investment in terms of rebuilding UTMB far outstripped any return on investment it could create by shifting our resources or trying to duplicate what we did here at another place. So we were allowed to move forward. Did we really have to change the way that we did things? Not really. And we've had subsequent difficult times along the way, challenges associated with our relationship with the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, the fire, certainly last year, other things. But nothing's really caused us to fundamentally re-examine where we stand in terms of the way we do work. But as we go forward now, particularly with this experience after Harvey, which we think portends the future, we understand that we are highly vulnerable. And of course, it's not just us. I mean, I think I mentioned in the last town hall meeting what Memorial Hermann is doing. You know, we're roughly $2.2 billion a year annual budget. Memorial Hermann slightly more than double our size with their 14 hospitals. And so they're about $5 billion per year. They are taking $900 million out of expenses over the course of 3 to 5 years. That's almost 20%. That's what they're thinking they need to do in response to what's happening around us. Now, we're a little less pessimistic. We think that, our goal should right now be 60 to 100 million over the course of the next few years, maybe a little more than that. So we're not talking 20%, we're talking in that 3 to 5% range. And we think that's very doable if we all work together. Now, going back to the question, why don't we just rip the Band-Aid off and move forward? What would that accomplish? What if we just said, okay, today, 7% across the board layoff? What would that accomplish? Does it help us work differently in the future? Absolutely not. Makes everybody mad. We all get really anxious. And it doesn't change the way we work. Yeah, we might accomplish some short-term financial savings, but we probably then would give that up over the course of time, because what often happens after a big layoff? Within a year or two, you've hired everybody back because you haven't changed the way that you work. So the reason this is different is we've had a chance now to see the pressure that's created on our mission work if we don't achieve our financial goals. We see that our structure and our approaches to doing our mission work is not as efficient as it needs to be. And if we continue on this course, our budget just gets tighter and tighter. Now, how many of you think our budgets are awfully tight today? Anybody not think that? They are. How much tighter can we make them? So again, that tells us we need to go at this differently. So then what's the process? How do we do that? Everybody's going full tilt today. Is there anybody here who goes home at the end of the day and isn't completely exhausted? No. And of course, we're healthcare providers or believers in supporting service to others. We wouldn't be at a place like UTMB if that weren't the case. So to a certain extent, we enjoy hard work. We get reward from seeing our actions make a difference over the course of time. So, we understand that hard work is associated with the process, but we can't push ourselves beyond a certain limit. We're focused on what we need to do now. So how in the world do we create time, carve out time, and the ability to look at how we change? We certainly can't do it like that. It will take us time. So that's the reason it's not about ripping the Band-Aid off. It's about looking systematically across the institution. What are we doing? How does it relate to what we're trying to achieve, our mission goals? Is this the most efficient way? Now, there's some good guides out there Places like the Mayo Clinic and others are a little ahead of us. They've been through some of these financial challenges already, and they've created some approaches that we may be able to use. They've created some new processes. And it certainly can be small hospitals, can be big health systems, can be academic medical centers. We'll look across all of those to look for best practices that might be applicable here. We need to look all the way across the institution. It'll take some time, but we're committed to do that so that we can restructure to meet those challenges in the future. What we don't want to do is to start eliminating mission work. And that's really where we are. We're not going to eliminate our program in neurosciences. We're not going to eliminate the pediatric residency program. I'm just making these things up. I'm not saying those are targets. We want that mission work to, I saw some people go, what? Dr. Chung's back there. He sort of fell over when I said neurosciences. Again, we want to look at how we're doing work and say, okay, we can do this better. Other places are doing it differently. Let's figure this out as we move forward. Now, some people have asked me, okay, why have you hired expensive consultants if we can do this on our own? Well, one of the reasons is timing. This is going to take time, but we don't have all the time in the world. We really have a couple of years before the impact of these changes really starts to hurt. We're not about to go belly up. We're not about to have to react like Bay Area Regional Medical Center is reacting. It's a slightly different situation. But we do need some help. Now, the other thing consultants bring to us is they bring the ability to canvass other organizations, find out quickly. They have experiences working in other places like UTMB. They know what's worked and what hasn't. And so they speed up our process by being engaged with us. They do a lot of the analytical work based on what we tell them, so we don't have to carve out our time to go do that analytical work and then try to figure out how to apply it. So that's the reason that we hire consultants. Is it expensive? Absolutely. But when we're trying to achieve somewhere between a $60 to $120 million improvement in financial outcomes, it's worth that small fractional cost. We don't kill ourselves in the process. We accomplish our task within a set period of time, and we get a better chance of understanding what best practices are across the country. So that's the reason that we're going with the engagement with Huron and with Berkeley Resources Group, BRG. I think many of us in the health system, or those of us who are engaged with the health system, know BRG. They were here. They helped us with our clinical strategic plan. They helped us with the PROP initiative, the Patient-Centered Resource Optimization Program that's been ongoing. So they know the organization. They're looking a little more broadly now. And then UT System has a lot of experience with Huron, working in our other institutions. So they're going to look beyond the health system, and then the consultants are going to work together with us to, again, look at opportunities across UTMB, think about how we can pursue those, prioritize them, and move forward. Now, what I pledge to you is that we will provide regular updates about what's going on. What I plan to do is actually do a little video blurb once a week, once every 2 weeks at the least frequent, and just say, okay, this is what we're doing. This is what we're focused on. Here's where we are. Here's what our consultants are doing. Here's what's involved. And we'll also put that information out there on the web. We, in addition, have developed some tracking tools, which will be public information. I think the only way we can succeed with this effort is that everybody sees what's going on. They understand what's happening, where we're focused, what we're considering, and engage. You know, if we duck our heads and we hide and we don't engage, then we're not going to be very successful. We need to all be part of creating the solutions as opposed to trying to hang on to the status quo for as long as possible. We know that won't be successful in our case. So that's where we are today. That's why this is different. Perhaps as difficult as it was, particularly for some of our people who lost homes and cars, who had family who were impacted, their health was impacted, perhaps Harvey has better helped us understand what the future looks like. And now we have the time to respond. So we're going to try to take advantage of the lessons learned to date, turn those around, modify our course for the future so that we can continue to make a difference through our focus on our mission goals. We are very capable as an organization. I look across this room, I see all of you, I look beyond this room, look at all of us here at UTMB. We have accomplished so much in the face of so much challenge. The UT system leaders in the regions had the opportunity to visit with the regents last week. They are impressed by the work here, the people here, the dedication and commitment here, the spirit that we have as a UTMB family. The chancellor still is talking about his visit after Harvey and what he saw among our people in spite of the challenges. And so we can do this. We can do this. It's our responsibility. UTMB's been contributing to the health of the people of our state for over 125 years. And by golly, we're going to continue to do that going forward. We just all need now to take on another challenge, sort it out together, and come up with the best solution for moving forward. I promise it'll be with transparency. Again, no big layoffs planned. That's not a good approach. We will look at how we work, how we're organized, all of those things. And you've seen us, you've seen me change some elements of the organizational structure, try to draw more people into the communications and decision-making process. Those are the sorts of things that we'll continue to do as we go forward. Now, I can guarantee you all of our choices will not be good ones. What we'll need to be willing to do is to revisit those. So go ahead and take some actions, see how they play, take a look, and correct our course. Again, it's not ripping the Band-Aid off. It's a steady progress moving forward, doing just like we do with our clinical work, education, and research, measuring our progress and adjusting to optimize our course forward. So that's where we stand. I just wanted you all to understand that. I think we're well equipped to do this. Is it challenging? Absolutely. Is it anxiety provoking? Absolutely. Is it exciting for some of our folks who love change management? Yeah, they're all over this because the adrenaline is surging. Does it cause a little bit of those reactions, all of those reactions in some of us? Yeah, absolutely. So, but we can do it, and we will do it. We will continue to provide great service to the state. We're just going to have to go at it a little differently. Now, would you hit that next slide for me? Certainly, I want you all to have the opportunity to ask me questions, but I don't want to forget to announce we're going to celebrate our nominees and our recipients of the Regents Outstanding Employee Award just across the hall in the Levin Hall dining room after this is over. So there's a light lunch in there, lots of, I think there's cookies and sweet stuff for those of us with that addiction. There's dips and finger foods. So please stop by and shake the hands of those among us who were nominated or who received the award, and let's make sure we continue that celebration. And while you're thinking about your questions, here's some of the ones that I've been asked over the past few weeks. I think I answered this one already. Is UTMB at risk of shutting down any hospitals or clinics like Bay Area Regional? No. In fact, we're looking out to see if we can help in some way. That facility, even though it potentially is a competitor, we're serving a lot of patients. There are physicians there who want to continue to provide service to patients. How can we help? What could we do? So we're talking to those physicians. We're talking to the folks at Bay Area Regional. We'll see what develops. There are certainly other organizations that also see an opportunity there. And so we'll just keep trying to see about how we can assist as a public institution with patients at play. That's our responsibility. Here was a good, and several people have asked me this. How did we not see this coming? You've been telling us big changes are coming, but why didn't we take action to not be in the situation we are now? Well, we actually have been. And that's one of the points of that slide about administrative costs, looking across the board, how we're doing things, how we're supporting what we're doing. Just now, it's very clear that the future's a little closer than we thought it was. We need to speed up our action. We need to look a little bit more broadly. So we've been understanding that these changes are coming, we just didn't quite have a chance to see how they were going to impact UTMB directly until Harvey hit. Now we have a clearer picture that also gives us a clearer picture of what we need to do, so we're moving forward. I think I addressed this. Can we just have the big announcement and get it over with, or the pink slips coming the day after Memorial Day? Okay, so hopefully I answered that. Consultants about that, employee engagement survey, why do it in the middle of a challenging time? That's the best time. Here's a slightly different perspective. With Dr. Jacobs' departure, do we plan to keep that job of provost and dean together? Will that now become 2 jobs? You know, again, I think that the job combined is probably more than is fair to ask a single person to do. But we just need to think through that a little bit more. So we'll consider that as we go forward, but for now, for the interim period, given all that Dr. Mouton and Dr. Bardwaj already are being asked to do, we'll keep those 2 separate. And I think administratively, we can manage that. I think I addressed this one too. There's frustration associated with hearing that finances are very challenging and that everybody needs to tighten their belts. Oh, no, I didn't. This is a good one. Okay, then we see offices are being redecorated, labs are being remodeled, and new furniture is being delivered at various places across campus. How can we justify these expenses right now, and why does it feel like some of us can't even make extra Xerox copies while others are getting new carpet, desk, and credenzas? Great question. Thank you, whoever asked that. You know, and again, this is how this is different. I think this is a great question that illustrates the challenge. We can't stop investing. We can't stop giving merit raises or market raises. We can't stop recruiting. So yeah, do we want to try to avoid making extra copies if we can? Absolutely. We should do that on an ongoing basis. And yeah, we've paused some capital projects, but we also need to accommodate our staff and our faculty and allow them to be successful. And we're not hitting our budget targets, but we're still investing. It's absolutely critical that we maintain our ability to do that going forward. So yes, we will continue with our projects. We'll continue to invest for the future. We need to continue to grow. I think I told the story last time about attributable patients. And what's estimated out there as part of this change in reimbursement is we're going to need somewhere between 250,000 and 2 million attributable patients. We have about 130,000 now. So maybe about half of the minimal number it's estimated we will need in the future. We have to continue to grow. And it's not all going to be organic growth. We're going to have to figure out how to collaborate more, like with MD Anderson. Affiliate more as we go forward. Do things differently to be successful and to have that number of attributable patients. So again, that's growth. And if we don't do that, we're dead in the water. We will not get the patients that we need to support our programs, allow us to educate students and residents, and continue our research. So growth is critical. We will continue to try to grow and do it as intelligently as we can. So hopefully that addresses that question. And if you have more about that one, please speak up. This last one, what's the story with the collaboration of giants like Amazon, JP Morgan, and Berkshire Hathaway? How will this affect places like UTMB? Great question. And to me, it's exciting. Finally, we have major organizations that bring a lot to the table who want to see some changes in healthcare. And they have capabilities and capacity that we don't have as healthcare organizations. Think about the analytical capacities of Google and Amazon and Yahoo. Berkshire Hathaway has this tremendous number of employees. They're driven by their CEO, Warren Buffett, excuse me. Man, it's terrible to get old. JP Morgan, the same. And so now they have this population of hundreds of thousands of employees. They're thinking about new delivery methods, engaging their employees differently, working with providers differently. Think about how much we can learn from that. And as an academic healthcare organization that's charged with defining the future, we want to be all over that and try to figure out how to emulate their successes, help them do some of the things that they're pioneering or attempting to pioneer. So I'm excited about it. Does it mean change? Yeah. We're in the business of change. That's what we do. We define the future. So I'm excited that others are engaged now with us and thinking about creating a brighter future for healthcare. So anyway, those are the questions that I have written down. I wanted to make sure that I addressed today, but I'm happy to respond to any other questions that you all have. Dr. Pettit, questions? I know you have to be thinking about 50,000 different things associated with your research, so I'm sorry I picked on you. Maybe you or Dr. Chung would, do you have questions you think that are common among the faculty that we haven't addressed that we should?
Probably, but I can't think of it.
Dr. Chung? Dr. Chung, by the way, is representing the basic science chairs on the President's Operations Council, and so happy he's there. Thank you, Jinmo, for your willingness to do that. I know there are a lot of questions about finances. One of the challenging aspects of our financial reports is that they're all different. There are so many different accounting standards groups, accounting formats. We report things a certain way for the state of Texas, even in different ways for different agencies that comprise the state of Texas. We have federal reporting that we have to do. There's the generally accepted accounting principles, GAAP accounting, that's common among major corporations, and we have a GAAP accounting report. And so we put out a lot of information. It's all based in the same results, but it can look very different and can be very confusing. Ms. Cedro and our organizational institutional finance team are very interested in coming out to speaking to groups that address questions about our financial status and reports, explain what they are, talk about what the different formats mean and how we use them, how to interpret those. So if within your work groups you're concerned about financial reporting or you see things that look like inconsistencies or raise questions, just let us know, and we'll be happy to come out and talk about the financial reports, what we think they're telling us, how we use them, and what the particular format really does for us. All right, well, thank you all very much. Have a great Mother's Day weekend. And don't forget about the reception next door.
UTMB, working together to work wonders.